Chosen one, listen closely. This moment will not come again. There are warnings that whisper, and there are warnings that shake the ground beneath your feet. This one is not gentle. This one is awakening. It is the kind of truth that reaches you in the quiet hours, when your guard is down and your spirit is most honest. And it says, pay attention. Something around you is shifting. What if the tension you've been feeling is not confusion, but confirmation? What if the heaviness in your chest has been heaven's way of trying to get your attention? What if the uneasiness you keep dismissing is the Holy Spirit pulling you away from something hidden, something connected to your brother? You see, betrayal never announces itself. Jealousy never introduces its name, and spiritual danger rarely shows up with noise. It often arrives quietly, through familiar voices and familiar faces. Your discernment has been speaking. Your spirit has been signaling. Your peace has been disturbed for a reason. Before you ever understood the situation, heaven already saw it forming behind the scenes. Before you ever questioned his intentions, God already knew what was happening in the shadows. Before a single word was spoken, heaven whispered to you, something is not right here. And you felt it, in the way he looked at you, in the tone behind his compliments, in the strange shift in atmosphere when he entered the room, in the way your joy seemed to shrink around him, even when you tried to pretend everything was normal. This message is not about fear. It is about revelation. It is about clarity. It is about the moment when God uncovers what your heart has been sensing, but your mind could not yet explain. Chosen one, hear this. God is not exposing your brother to embarrass him. He is exposing the truth to protect you. Because your calling is too important. Your purpose is too valuable. Your future is too costly to be entangled with hidden resentment, quiet sabotage, or unspoken rivalry from someone you trusted. Take a breath. Steady your heart. The light is coming. The truth is unfolding. And from this moment forward, everything begins to make sense. Part 1. Why God is revealing this now. Chosen one, there is a timing to every unveiling. God never exposes too early, and he never reveals too late. He speaks at the precise moment your heart is strong enough to hear and your spirit is mature enough to understand. You may wonder, why now? Why is God opening my eyes at this exact point in my life? The answer is simple. Because the season you are stepping into requires clarity, not confusion. It requires freedom, not emotional debt. It requires divine alignment, not silent sabotage. For too long, you tried to make peace with discomfort. You tried to excuse things that were never healthy. You tried to convince yourself that what you felt was imagination, overthinking, or emotional noise. But the truth is, heaven has been signaling you for a long time. And now, the signal has become too loud to ignore. There is a spiritual principle at work here. Before God elevates you, he separates you. Before he expands you, he exposes what cannot move forward with you. Before he blesses you, he removes what would destroy the blessing. Your brother may not even understand the depth of what he has been doing. Sometimes people operate from wounds they've never healed. Sometimes jealousy disguises itself as sarcasm. Sometimes resentment hides under the mask of just joking. Sometimes competition slips into the family without anyone addressing it. But God saw it. He saw the subtle comments meant to shrink you. He saw the forced smile that did not match the eyes. He saw the moments when he should have protected you but chose silence instead. He saw the times when your success made him uncomfortable, even though he never admitted it. And now, heaven is saying, no more pretending, no more walking blind, no more carrying pressure that does not belong to you. You're entering a season where your spiritual vision must be sharp. Every relationship around you is being filtered. Every motive is being weighed. Every connection is being tested. This revelation is not punishment. It is preparation. God is revealing the truth now because your next chapter requires strength, clarity, and emotional independence He has not been willing or able to give you. Chosen one, you are being positioned, you are being protected, and heaven is making sure that no hidden enemy travels with you into your destiny. Part 2. The silent signs you ignored. Chosen one, the truth rarely appears in a single moment. It reveals itself in fragments, whispers, subtle shifts in the atmosphere that you notice, and then quickly dismiss. These signs did not arrive overnight. They were small at first, gentle enough for you to overlook, soft enough to blend into the noise of daily life. But they were there. And now that God is opening your eyes, you can finally see what your spirit sensed all along. There were moments when your brother spoke to you and something inside you tightened. Not because of the words themselves, but because of the energy behind them. A strange tension you could never explain. A heaviness you felt even when the conversation seemed harmless. There were times when you shared good news, and instead of celebrating, he paused just a little too long. His smile didn't reach his eyes. His congratulations felt rehearsed. You felt the disconnect, but you told yourself you were imagining things. There were days when you entered the room and the atmosphere changed. He grew quiet. He shifted his posture. He ended conversations abruptly. Something in his spirit reacted to your presence, even if he never spoke it aloud. And then there were the subtle jabs, the comments disguised as jokes, the sarcasm wrapped in laughter, the questions that sounded supportive but carried hidden doubt. He knew exactly how to say something that sounded small, yet pierced deeply. And every time it happened, you brushed it away, telling yourself, it's just family, it's nothing. But chosen one, heaven saw it. Heaven recorded every moment you shrank yourself to keep the peace. Every moment you dimmed your light so he wouldn't feel threatened. Every moment you swallowed your discomfort to avoid conflict. Every moment you convinced yourself that harmony mattered more than honesty. You ignored the signs because you loved him, because you wanted unity, because you believed things would get better if you simply endured. But endurance is not the same as discernment, and peace that requires your silence is not real peace. God has been whispering to you through these subtle signs, not to create division, but to give you understanding, to help you see what was operating beneath the surface, to protect you from being drained emotionally, spiritually, and mentally by a connection that no longer aligned with your calling. This is the moment where everything you felt but could not explain finally makes sense. Part 3. The spiritual root behind his behavior. Chosen one, listen carefully now. What you are facing is not just personality, it is not simply mood, temperament, or family tension. There is a spiritual root beneath his behavior, and until you understand it, the confusion will continue. People do not act from the surface, they act from the soul. From wounds they never healed, from insecurities they never admitted, from jealousy they never confronted, from battles they never surrendered to God. Your brother's reactions toward you did not begin with you. They began long before you ever realized something was wrong. Somewhere in his journey, a seed was planted. A seed of comparison, a seed of feeling overlooked, a seed of resentment he could not express, a seed of fear that he would never measure up. And when God placed favor on your life, when he gave you gifts, opportunities, or simply a kind of light that others noticed, that seed awakened, not because you did anything wrong, but because your presence exposed what he had been running from internally. Chosen one, understand this. Your calling did not create his wound, it revealed it. The spiritual root is deeper than emotions. It is tied to identity, to brokenness, to the enemy whispering lies in the quiet corners of his mind. Lies like, you're not enough. No one sees you. You'll never be as blessed as them. They are ahead of you. They don't deserve what they have. And instead of fighting those lies, he allowed them to shape the way he saw you. Not as someone to love, but as someone to compare himself to. Not as someone to support, but as someone to measure himself against. This kind of internal battle creates spiritual conflict, and that conflict spills out in subtle ways. A comment here, a cold stare there, a silent competition that you never agreed to, a bitterness he never confessed, a tension he never resolved. The enemy often attacks families through envy, resentment, and division, because he knows that unity is powerful and purpose thrives in peace. So he whispers into wounded hearts, hoping to turn brother against brother, not through visible warfare, but through quiet, internal struggle. Your brother is not the enemy, but something has been influencing the way he responds to you. Something has been feeding his insecurity. Something has been twisting his perception. Something has been trying to pull him away from truth and push him toward silent opposition. And God, in his mercy, is not exposing this to shame him. He is exposing it so you no longer carry the weight of misunderstanding. So you stop blaming yourself. So you stop shrinking your light. So you stop internalizing the tension that was never yours to hold. This revelation is not about judgment. It is about clarity. It is about understanding the spiritual root so you can move forward without confusion or guilt. Part 4. How His Spirit reacts to your calling. Chosen one, this is the part you must hear with a steady heart. Because the truth is not always comfortable, but it is always freeing. Your calling carries a weight in the spiritual realm, a presence, an authority, a light that is not loud, yet cannot be ignored. And when someone is not grounded in their own identity, that light can feel like a threat, even when you never intended it to be. Your brother is responding not to who you are as a person, but to what God has placed inside you. Some people are comfortable with you until your anointing starts to speak, until your growth becomes visible, until your strength becomes undeniable, until your purpose begins to bloom in ways they did not expect. And when that happens, their spirit reacts, not out of logic, not out of reason, but out of spiritual discomfort. Your brother may not have the language for it, but his spirit recognizes something about you that his mind has not yet accepted. He feels the weight of your calling even when you don't. He senses your destiny before you fully see it. He feels the shift in your life before you understand what God is doing. And that spiritual sensitivity can trigger a sudden distance, unexplained irritation, a subtle defensiveness around you, a shift in tone that you can't explain, an underlying tension that appears for no reason, because your presence reminds him of what he has avoided. Your progress reminds him of his silence. Your growth reminds him of the areas he left unattended. Your light reminds him of the parts of himself still living in shadow. You are not trying to shine. You are simply being who God created you to be. But even your natural glow can feel overwhelming to someone who has dimmed their own. Understand this. Your calling carries influence even when you are not speaking. It disrupts environments. It exposes motives. It agitates unhealed wounds. It awakens insecurity in those who are not aligned with God's plan for their own life. This is why you often feel tension around him that you cannot explain. It is not your fault. It is not your imagination. It is spiritual recognition. Your presence is prophetic. Your existence speaks even in silence. Your destiny is loud even when you are quiet. And deep down, his spirit knows you are moving forward. You are rising. You are shifting into the person God called you to be. And not everyone around you is prepared to handle that transformation. Chosen one, this is not the time to shrink. This is not the time to apologize for your growth. This is not the time to lower your light to make anyone else comfortable. The calling on your life was never meant to be hidden, and those who react negatively to it were never meant to guide your next season. Part 5. The emotional cost you've been carrying. Chosen one, pause for a moment and breathe. Because this next part is the one you've never fully acknowledged. The emotional cost of carrying a burden you never asked for. You've been walking with a weight on your heart for years without having the words to describe it. You sensed something was off, but you kept giving grace. You felt tension in the atmosphere, but you kept choosing peace. You noticed the subtle shifts, the strange comments, the unspoken rivalry. But you convinced yourself it was normal, that this is simply how family works, that it was your job to be the bigger person. But chosen one, being the bigger person does not mean being the silent one, and it certainly does not mean carrying the emotional consequences of someone else's brokenness. You have carried confusion, you have carried guilt, you have carried responsibility for maintaining the relationship, even when he contributed nothing to the healing. You have carried the pressure of pretending everything was fine, even when your spirit was uneasy. You were the one trying to keep the peace. You were the one initiating conversations. You were the one reaching out. You were the one explaining yourself. You were the one adjusting, softening, shrinking, bending, all to maintain a bond that felt one-sided. And with every attempt, your heart grew a little heavier. There were nights you replayed his words in your mind, wondering if you misunderstood. There were mornings you woke up with a tightness in your chest, hoping today would feel different. There were moments when his distance pierced you more deeply than any stranger's rejection ever could. You were not just hurt, you were emotionally tired. Tired of questioning yourself. Tired of overthinking every interaction. Tired of carrying a bond he refused to nurture. Tired of wondering what you did wrong, when the truth is, you are not the problem. Your heart has been stretched thin, your energy drained, your joy dimmed, your peace disrupted. And still, you kept loving. Still, you kept forgiving. Still, you kept hoping something would finally change. But chosen one, hear this truth with gentleness. You cannot heal what someone refuses to confront. You cannot fix what someone denies. You cannot carry both your destiny and their unaddressed wounds. The emotional cost you've been paying is real. It has shaped the way you walk. It has influenced the way you speak. It has quieted parts of you that were once loud with life. But now, God is lifting that weight off your shoulders. He is breaking the emotional fatigue. He is restoring the parts of you that dimmed to survive. He is releasing you from the silent suffering you endured in the name of family. Your heart deserves rest. Your spirit deserves peace. Your voice deserves space. And your future deserves freedom. Part 6. Why God needed you to see the truth clearly. Chosen one, there comes a moment in every spiritual journey when God removes the fog. A moment when He steps into your situation, not to comfort your confusion, but to confront it, to clear your vision, to reveal what you could not see while your heart was trying to protect itself. This is that moment. God needed you to see the truth, not to create division, but to break deception, because deception is not always a lie told to you. Sometimes it is a lie you tell yourself to avoid the pain of acknowledging what is real. For a long time you wanted to believe the best. You wanted to assume his intentions were pure. You wanted to trust that the bond would heal on its own. You wanted the relationship to reflect love, unity, and protection. But God could not allow you to keep living under an illusion that weakened you spiritually. He could not allow you to continue carrying a false peace. He could not let you build your future on uneven ground. This revelation is not punishment. It is divine intervention. God needed you to see that the tension was not imagined, that the heaviness was not accidental, that the distance was not random, that the spiritual shift was not your fault, that the relationship was draining, not strengthening, that your heart was giving more than it received, that your loyalty was costing you your peace. And above all, He needed you to understand that your destiny cannot be compromised by emotional ties that limit your growth. You see, Chosen one, God reveals truth for 3 reasons: to protect your purpose, to strengthen your discernment, and to prepare you for where He is taking you. Your next season requires clarity, pure, undiluted clarity, not clouded by old attachments, not distorted by guilt, not weighed down by emotional obligation. If God allowed you to move forward blind, you would walk into your blessings with the wrong people in your corner. You would carry emotional weights that sabotage your joy. You would be vulnerable to wounds disguised as family loyalty. But you were never meant to enter your future confused. You were never meant to rise while questioning your worth. You were never meant to walk into your calling second-guessing your intuition. You were never meant to carry emotional debts that do not belong to you. God is revealing the truth because your heart deserves alignment. Your spirit deserves peace. Your calling deserves protection, and your future deserves a foundation built on honesty, not illusion. This moment may feel heavy, but it is holy. It is a turning point. It is the beginning of clarity, strength, and emotional freedom. Part 7. The Hidden Ways. His behavior has affected your identity. Chosen one, this is where the truth reaches deeper than the surface. Because what you experienced with your brother was not just emotional discomfort. It shaped you, it molded you, it affected your identity in ways you never fully recognized. You learned to lower your voice, not because you lacked confidence, but because speaking too boldly made him uncomfortable. You learned to shrink your joy, not because you were unhappy, but because celebrating too loudly triggered tension you didn't know how to fix. You learned to hold back your ideas, not because they lacked value, but because sharing them around him never felt safe. You learned to second-guess yourself, not because you were uncertain, but because subtle criticism made you doubt your intuition. Slowly, quietly, gently, his reactions began shaping the way you saw yourself. You started believing you were too much, when really you were surrounded by someone who felt not enough. You started believing your success was intimidating when really he didn't know how to celebrate anyone but himself. You started believing you needed to dim your light when really your light was meant to shine freely. You changed, not for growth, but for survival. And this is why God needed to interrupt the pattern, because it was altering your identity. It was shaping your self-perception. It was affecting your confidence. It was silencing your spirit. It was teaching you to be small in a world God designed you to stand tall in. Chosen one, hear this clearly. You were not born to walk carefully around someone else's insecurity. You were not created to shrink so a sibling could feel superior. You were not assigned a calling just to hide it in the presence of someone who fears their own potential. You were not divinely crafted to carry the emotional weight of another person's unhealed tabadida. Your identity is not supposed to be negotiated, not supposed to be dimmed, not supposed to be edited, not supposed to be shaped by the reactions of someone who struggles to love you without competition. Every time you quieted yourself to avoid conflict, a part of you faded. Every time you tolerated subtle disrespect, a part of you weakened. Every time you accepted his distance as normal, a part of you settled for less than you deserved. But this is the moment God restores what was lost. This is the moment He returns your voice, your confidence, your freedom, your permission to be yourself, fully and unapologetically. You are not too loud. You are not too bright. You are not too blessed, too favored, or too confident. You are exactly who God called you to be. And anyone who responds with discomfort is revealing their own internal battle, not your flaw. This truth is not meant to break you. It is meant to rebuild you, to remind you of the identity you abandoned to keep the peace, to restore the version of you that existed before the tension, to resurrect the parts of you that dimmed in order to survive the relationship. Part 8. Why God is pulling you into a season of distance and discernment. Chosen one, this next part may feel uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Because God is not just revealing the truth, He is repositioning you. There is a reason He has been stirring your spirit. There is a reason you have been feeling the urge to pull back. There is a reason your peace has been disturbed when you get too close. There is a reason God has been quieting your desire to fix what has been broken for so long. You are entering a season of distance, not out of anger. Not out of retaliation, not out of bitterness, but out of protection. Distance is not punishment. Distance is clarity. Distance is healing. Distance is obedience. God is creating space so your spirit can breathe again, so your mind can rest, so your heart can recover, so your identity can realign without the weight of constant spiritual friction. For too long, your closeness to your brother blurred your discernment. You saw what you hoped for, not what was truly there. You saw potential, not patterns. You saw the bond you wished existed, not the behavior that repeatedly wounded you. But God is clearing the view now, and with clarity comes the call to step back. Chosen one, hear this with gentleness. You cannot heal in the same environment that weakened you. You cannot grow while fighting unseen resistance. You cannot walk in your calling while tied to someone who reacts to your light with discomfort. Distance does not mean disconnection. It means realignment. It means boundaries. It means obeying the whisper of God before the noise of guilt. It means choosing what protects your purpose over what pleases your past. God is not asking you to cut Him off. He is asking you to stop sacrificing your peace, to stop minimizing your discernment, to stop ignoring your intuition, to stop stitching together what He is gently untying. You must understand this. Not every relationship is meant to travel with you into your next season. Not every connection is meant to influence your rising. Not every family bond is spiritually healthy, and not every sibling relationship is aligned with your destiny. There are blessings waiting for you that require emotional space. There are doors God is opening that require spiritual distance. There are opportunities ahead that require separation from draining ties. This season of distance is not rejection, it is refinement. It is God positioning you for clarity, strength, and protection. And in the quiet space away from the tension, God will speak. He will heal. He will rebuild. He will strengthen your spirit in ways you did not realize you needed. Chosen one, you are not walking away. You are walking towards something greater, something healthier, something God-ordained. Part 9. The rise of your confidence and spiritual authority. Chosen one. Now we step into the part the enemy hoped you would never reach. Because once you understand this, everything changes. Your posture changes. Your presence changes. Your confidence rises. Your authority awakens. This season is not just about distance. It is about restoration. It is about reclaiming the parts of you that were buried under years of emotional compromise. It is about stepping into the strength that was always yours, but dimmed by the pressure to keep peace with someone who could not handle your light. Your confidence is returning. Not the fragile kind that depends on validation. Not the timid kind that seeks approval. Not the silent kind that avoids conflict, but the divine confidence that comes from knowing exactly who you are in God. You are remembering your voice. You are remembering your worth. You are remembering your identity. You are remembering the authority heaven placed on your life before anyone had an opinion about you. For so long, you walked carefully. You softened yourself. You lowered your gift. You muted your spiritual strength. You made yourself smaller, quieter, gentler, not because that was your nature, but because the atmosphere around your brother demanded it. But chosen one, hear this truth clearly. The atmosphere will no longer dictate your identity. Your brother's insecurity will no longer shape your behavior. his reactions will no longer influence your self-perception. His discomfort will no longer silence your calling. You are rising, not aggressively, not loudly, but undeniably. Your spirit is waking up. Your discernment is sharpening. Your confidence is solidifying. Your authority is returning. And with this rise comes a spiritual shift, one that even he will feel. Because the moment you reclaim your identity, everything around you adjusts. Your presence becomes stronger. Your boundaries become clearer. Your voice becomes steady. Your energy becomes protected. Your decisions become deliberate. Your spirit becomes untouchable. And nothing intimidates the enemy more than a chosen one who knows who they are. This rise is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is you stepping back into the identity God always intended. It is you walking in spiritual authority without apology. It is you refusing to carry the weight of someone else's unhealed shadows. Chosen one, you are not becoming someone new. You are returning to who you were before the emotional strain, before the confusion, before the subtle rivalry, before the tension dimmed your joy. This is your reawakening. This is your return. This is your rise. And as your confidence strengthens, so does your spiritual authority. You speak differently. You stand differently. You pray differently. You move differently. You choose differently. You love differently, because you finally understand your worth. And once a chosen one understands their worth, nothing in the spiritual realm stays the same. When you are ready, I will continue with conclusion, the restoration, the release, and the rise of your brother's journey. And yours. Chosen one, listen closely now. We have reached the final movement of this message, the quiet truth beneath everything you have walked through. The truth heaven has been waiting for you to finally see, not with your eyes, but with your spirit. All of this, every shift, every distance, every discomfort, every silent moment between you and your brother, none of it was random. It was divine, not to break you, not to shame him, but to separate what needed healing from what needed protecting, to reveal what the relationship carried and what it could no longer carry, to awaken the strength in you and expose the wounds in him, because your brother was never your enemy. He was never the villain in your story. He was the mirror, showing you the parts of yourself you had forgotten, neglected, or surrendered in the name of keeping peace. And you were the mirror for him too. Your light revealed the shadows he had not confronted. Your strength exposed the insecurities he tried to hide. Your growth magnified the places where he had stopped growing. That tension, it was not hatred. It was conviction. It was transformation. It was heaven pressing both of you into who you were meant to become. But hear this clearly. Healing does not always move at the same pace. Your journey accelerated. His journey slowed. And the distance that formed between you was not punishment. It was protection. Protection for your joy. Protection for your peace. Protection for your calling. Protection for the strength God was rebuilding in you. Because God knew if you stayed where you were, you would shrink to fit the familiarity. You would dim to avoid conflict. You would silence yourself to maintain harmony. And heaven could not allow your calling to suffocate under the weight of someone else's unrest. So the distance was allowed. Not forever, but for now. Long enough for you to remember who you are. Long enough for him to face what he has avoided. Long enough for the relationship to breathe, so it could be restored in truth instead of routine. And now you stand at a threshold, not of separation, but of renewal, not of bitterness, but of clarity, not of resentment, but of revelation. Your heart is stronger, your spirit is steadier, your identity is rooted, your calling is clear, and because of that, The relationship can transform, not by forcing closeness, not by pretending nothing happened, but by letting God rebuild it with honesty, with boundaries, with maturity, with spiritual alignment. Your brother will grow, he will heal, he will rise into the version of himself that God intended long before life hardened him. And when he does, your relationship will not return to what it was. It will evolve into what it was meant to be, a place of mutual respect, mutual strength, mutual love, mutual truth, because you are no longer carrying the relationship alone. The restoration will be shared, the growth will be shared, the healing will be shared. Chosen one, this is not the end of the story. This is the end of the chapter that needed to close so a healthier one could begin. And as this chapter ends, heaven speaks this over you. You have done well, you have grown well, you have risen well, you have honored God in silence, in distance, in love, in truth. Now walk forward, not with fear, not with guilt, not with pressure, but with confidence. Your relationship with your brother will be restored in time, with grace, with maturity, and with a new foundation. For now, stand tall in who you have become. Stand firm in the peace you have reclaimed. Stand secure in the identity heaven has reawakened in you. This is your rise. This is his awakening. This is the future heaven is preparing for both of you.